today in Rich in Relationship. We're going to talk about the power of intuition and how it can alter your life and your marriage. As guys, we've been functioning on our instinct way too long. When we have all those things working together and we're in touch with our feelings and tapping intuition, we're going to feel fulfilled every day. Welcome to another episode of Rich in Relationship. And we're going to talk today about leading with intuition and insight. I almost said instinct. All right. But the truth is that as guys, we've been functioning on our instinct way too long. Our wife says something a little triggering, and our instinct is what? To jump on her or defend ourselves. We need to put that stuff on the shelf. We talked last episode about being in touch with our emotions in a way that is safe, but still allows us to walk in power and strength, still allows us to protect and serve when the time is right. We talked about empathy. Now we're going to talk about something equally powerful, built on empathy, and that is intuition. Intuition is like the magic silver bullet, magic power. It is the thing that will guide all human beings through their lives. Well, men particularly suck at intuition. We tend to over-rationalize. We tend to ignore our guts on so many things. The most successful men are operating on raw intuition. No matter what the world says, they have a vision, they have an idea of where they want to go. Their intuition tells them how to get there. And even though, or they are hearing naysayers in the culture, they go, you know what? This feels right. Well, if you start practicing being in touch with your feelings in a way that's safe, if you're practicing being empathetically connected to other people, you now have access to what? Intuition, my friends. And it's about identifying it, trusting it, and operating from that place. So let me tell you something about intuition. It is really the new masculinity, the new healthy masculinity. Why do I say that? Well, in the last episode, we talked about some of the negative, the old school concepts of masculinity. We referenced, for me, it was like Clint Eastwood. And then I went into what? I went into The Equalizer with Denzel the Truth. And I'm sure you can think of loads of guys who don't dip into their intuitive side that much. But as I was preparing for this episode, I was thinking about, all right, so where in the media have I seen guys who were really intuitive? They tend to be underplayed, but the most successful series where I've seen that is Star Wars. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm not a big fan of the Force. Well, actually, I am a big fan of the Force. I'm lying now, right? But I have a different frame for it than the Star Wars frame. But you'll remember that Luke Skywalker, when he's going to be trained by Yoda, right? Luke is constantly saying things like, I have a bad feeling about this. Or Yoda encourages him to feel. Yoda encourages him to connect to. I'm not saying we all want to be Luke Skywalker, by the way, but I'm saying that we do want to start operating as human beings, not just as men, as human beings. We want to start operating from a place where we feel connected to something bigger than us. All right. So in Star Wars, it's the Force. Here, it might be for you, if you don't have a spiritual context for this or a frame for this, let's just say spirituality on its most basic level is about connection. And connection is not something that we think our way through. Connection is something we feel. And when we feel connected, we get feedback, emotional feedback from our surroundings. We get emotional feedback from the people that we're connected to. And when we get that feedback, our unconscious mind, our intuition starts to kick in. That's the power of connection and intuition. And Guys, we have been dismissing this, particularly in Western culture. In Western culture, we have been highlighting intellect for so long that it's almost as if we've cut ourselves off from intuition, from empathy, from emotional insight. Well, they are not weaknesses. These are the greatest strengths that you can harness. It is the success differentiator, not just in life, but in your marriage. You start to get in touch with your own emotions. You start to connect with people empathetically. You start to connect with your own intuition, and it's a game changer. Unhook yourself and unplug yourself from the parental or societal generated images of success. Plug into that intuition and your whole ride's going to change. See, you've been told to be strong. You've been told to be stoic. You've been told to be in control. And in order to be stoic and in control, that means your mind has had to lock down your emotions. But under that lockdown, you are tired. You're misunderstood. You're disconnected from the people who matter who matter the most. My mouth got ahead of my brain. The people who matter the most, yourself and other people. If you're not connected to yourself, you're not connected to other people. Well, what if the key to reclaiming power in your life, and I don't mean power over other people, power over yourself, wasn't suppressing emotion, but embracing the other half of what makes you whole? And what is it that we're repressing, fellas? We're going to get to that. We've been handed a one-sided map of masculinity to assert, achieve, and to avoid emotion. Well, it's time to embrace the other side of the map. Most men were never taught to trust their inner voice, much less their feelings. Culturally, anything intuitive or emotional was labeled feminine and dismissed. Oh, yeah. If you're too feminine, what are you? You're gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that. By the way, studies show that women are attracted to men who are, let's throw out that word gay, because that's crap. The label gay, the label lesbian, the label homosexual, the label heterosexual, these labels are designed to separate and disconnect, categorize, throw that crap out. All right? Let's just go with human beings. Studies show that genetic females who are attracted to genetic males, genetic females who identify as women, who are attracted to genetic males who identify as males, they're more attracted to those guys who are showing qualities which society has labeled as feminine. Of course, if the guy is so feminine in his qualities that he's not actually attracted to women, it's a problem. But the truth is that most women like guys who are conscientious about their appearance, who are emotionally aware. Women find that attractive. They also like men who are strong and who can provide for them. Those things can go together. They can live in the same space. And I'm encouraging you to look at this because we all, guess what? The most hardcore, toxic masculine guy you can think of, and I am not going to name names, has in him an inner woman. Your inner woman be? Yo mama. That's who your inner woman is. You grew up with a father and a mother, most of you. Some of you didn't. But because you grew up in a household with a woman, and because from 0 to 7, when your unconscious mind was being formed, a woman, the way she was wired, the way she behaves, the way she talks, the way she interacts, the way she speaks, the way she feels, the way she talks about what she feels, all of that imprinted on you. Inside of you is an inner woman. In toxic masculinity, we spend a lot of time saying, oh, women, they're such a mystery. We will never understand them. Oh, women, can't live with them, can't live without them, and crap like that. But the fact of the matter is that somewhere inside of every human being is an imprint of their mother and their father. No matter what your gender you feel like you are, or what gender you were born, or what combination inside of you is a mother and a father. Even if you were raised by two same-sex parents, one of them probably showed up more masculine than the other. It's imprinted in us. And we can tap that and connect with that. In fact, not only can we enact that, not only can we tap that and connect with that, I'm just going to say connect that from now on. Not only can we connect that, let's tap and connect. Not only can we connect that, but it's a part of who we are. It's a part of who we are. All that compartmentalizing we've been doing has been compartmentalizing off mom. Or maybe it's been compartmentalizing off dad. Brad. You remember Brad? He's my client. I've only got one couple I ever work with. It's Brad and Gwen. So I just talk about them endlessly. No, for those of you who are just tuning in, or maybe you've listened to a couple of episodes, I only talk about Brad and Gwen because the names of the innocent are always protected here on Rich in Relationship. I maintain the confidentiality of my clients. Brad always kept it together. And he could not understand why Gwen felt alone. In fact, he was sure she felt alone because she didn't want to have sex with him anymore. He was sure she felt alone because she was off doing her own thing. She was building her own career. He kept it together, though. He thought there might be something wrong with him. But the truth of the matter is, when Brad and Gwen came in, Gwen said, I am dying to connect with Brad, but he pushes me away. See, Brad pushed Gwen away because he compartmentalized off his mama. He compartmentalized off his imprinted feminine side. And because he was cutting himself off from that part of himself, he was cutting himself off from his wife. And Gwen felt alone. There is a cost to this. When you cut yourself off to fit into the mold, you stop growing. You cannot achieve your potential. You will lose your sense of purpose and your place in the world if you cut yourself off from your mama. I'm going to just keep saying that. From what we call your feminine side, from the part of you that has a broad range of emotions, from the part of you that has intuition. Because it's that intuition that keeps you going in your sense of purpose. When we ignore our intuition, when we do what the world tells us what we should do, we inevitably fail. I've had this experience with webinars. I just launched a webinar. I did everything right. I did it by the book. I put out all the right emails. I put all the right stuff on social media, and the whole thing was a flop. Why? Because I wasn't listening to my intuition. I was doing what the marketing people told me to do. I knew in my gut this wasn't the right thing, the right way to do it. I knew the topic was good. I knew it was strong. I knew it was important, but I knew that vehicle no longer works. I knew it in my gut. I could feel it. How many times has that happened to you? How many times have you said, they know better? They know better. All the studies show that that's what works, so I'm going to do that instead of following your gut. Well, I'm going to tell you, I am done not following my gut. I am done compartmentalizing. Do you want to join me? Let's do this. Let's rock and roll. Suppressing intuition and emotion makes us brittle. It leads to burnout. It leads to blow-ups and shutdowns. It leads to being emotionally cut off in your marriage. It leads to failure at work. Oh, I'm not talking about making money. I'm talking about feeling like you're succeeding. If we're just chasing money, it's like chasing the dragon. There's never enough money. I was at a business group meeting for the last 4 days, and these people were talking about how they had had some emotional, traumatic experience in their childhood, and they were making up for it by making money. And the more money they made on this mission to make up for this childhood, the more fulfilled they felt, except their businesses hit $1 million. Their businesses hit $3 million. I've known these people for years. Their businesses hit $6 million. They're still not fulfilled. They are still overeating or drinking too much or whatever, trying to fill that hole. You cannot fill that hole. And I'm not saying don't make millions of dollars. What I'm saying is when the goal is to make millions of dollars, when that's the driver, you got the wrong hook in your mouth. What I'm saying is when we're in touch with what we're truly wired for, what all of who we are, our experience, our traumas, our training, our innate abilities, when we have all those things working together and we're in touch with our feelings and tapping intuition, we're going to feel fulfilled every day while we're doing it. I've been doing this podcast for a few years. It's growing kind of slowly. You know what? I don't even know if I'm worried about it, how fast it grows anymore. I love doing it. When I do this podcast, I come alive. I don't know if you noticed. We all need to find something that lights us up, that taps our intuition. Instinct plus insight plus intuition equals integrated masculinity. And masculinity is a part of being human. Real strength is not domination, it's discernment. So what am I ranting about here? What I'm ranting about is if what I'm saying to you is resonating with you, but you just can't seem to reach for it. If you're having trouble finding that place in yourself where your feelings and your intuition live, if you feel like you and your wife are pulling further and further apart, you feel like you're trapped in a job that's not fulfilling you, but you got to do it to pay the bills. If you feel like you're disconnected from yourself, you don't have to live that way anymore. You see, those feelings, that intuition, they're in you. Your intuition will guide you perfectly through every situation. Let's go back to Luke Skywalker. Your intuition will guide you to the place where you can find the perfect crack in the defense of the Death Star so that you can explode the man box and become a mad, raging success. And just like Luke, that won't be the end of the story. You got to continue to follow your episode. You got to continue to fight those demons. You got to continue to work towards what you believe in, what rings your bell, what lights you up. We've got some great processes here to help with this. We've got tools for couples. We've got the mental and emotional release process that helps us to let go of old traumas and harness them and to create a new vision and a new place to go in your life. But you got to want it. You got to want this thing. You got to be ready to let go of all kinds of old crap to live in the space of emotional fluency and intuitive connection. We're just about wrapping up this series. Next week, we've got an interview with Dr. Schinnerer. He's coming back. That's right, my bro. He is going to share with us the best thing you can do for your partner. And I'm a big fan of Dr. John. I'm just going to call him Dr. John from now on. So stay tuned. In the meantime, have an awesome day and an amazing tomorrow.